My name is Allison Farrell. I am Fireside's Director of Marketing, and I'm so glad that you've been able to join us for this very exciting FaceTime session today with Dr. Gerry Samson and Dr. Bobby Elliott. I've got Fireside's CEO, Bart Yancey, and our Chief Dental Officer, Dr. Jeff Flannery, here as well. So I will turn it over to Bart in just a second, but as a reminder, we have everybody muted to cut down on background noise during the recording. We will record this session, so if you have to drop off at any time, we will record the entire thing, and you can grab that recording on YouTube afterwards. And if you've got any questions throughout the presentation, we welcome you to send them in through the chat, and we'll designate time at the end to go through those questions. But we are so excited that you've joined us today and taken some time to learn about teams. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bart to just share a quick word about Fireside.
Great. Thank you, Allison. Hey, everyone. I'm Bart Yancey, CEO of Fireside, and couldn't be more excited to have you on our speaker series today in partnership with Dr. Gerry and Nathos. And we're really excited to have Dr. Bobby Elliott. You all know Bobby, just an incredible track record of pediatric dental practice, and just couldn't be more excited about what he's going to share with us today. Let me just add real quick a little bit about Fireside. If you haven't checked us out, Fireside is a membership focused solely on private practice pediatric dental practices. And we're focused on practices that are growth oriented and patient experience focused. And our services are aimed at helping you become more profitable and enhance your patient experience. We've got members across the country. Our membership's growing very fast. We're a unique organization in the market. And I wanted to introduce Dr. Jeff Flannery, who is also one of our co-founders at Fireside, and let him say a few words as well.
Yeah, no, thank you, Bart. I appreciate that. And we are just excited to have Dr. Bobby Elliott on with us today. A lot of you guys know him very well. I know when I first started as a resident, even, I was going to the SSPD meetings and went to his lunch and learns. And, ever since that moment, I knew that he was the real deal. He was doing a great job. Definitely a reliable source. And anytime he speaks, I listen. And so I'm really excited to hear what he has to say about office retention and just making your culture good in the office. It's something that I truly, take pride in ever since the beginning. And I'm just interested to hear new ideas that he has. But anyway, we just appreciate him being here. And I'm going to give it over to Gerry right now.
Yes, thank you. Hey, Bobby, are you familiar with something called imposter syndrome?
I'm familiar with that, yes.
Yeah, a lot of people suffer. Well, they don't suffer. They make other people suffer from it because they make up things about themselves. The person they are is not really the person they're putting forward. Now, if there's an opposite of imposter syndrome, the real you, the real deal, the true and honest self, that would be you, Bobby Elliott. Of the people I've known in my life, I can honestly say there's a category of people that are only very few that what you see is who that person is, and what you see is what you get. And if there is a soul and a face of pediatric dentistry, it's Bobby Elliott.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I've been looking forward to saying that publicly. Now, we have a few things that are on the agenda to discuss. There's only three, which I think, and those are Bobby's. He decided what to speak on. And the first one is creating an office culture. Bobby, would you define what does culture mean? This is a whole thing. People used to call it a mission statement, but now it's office. What does culture mean?
I think culture can be different, like you mentioned, to every person, every provider and every practice owner. But personally, for me, culture is the environment that we provide to not only our patients and our parents, but to our team. And I think each of those three audiences wears a different set of glasses looking through to define culture. So for me, a team member would say, I really like working here. It's well organized. They take good care of us as team members. They care about us personally. I like coming to work. I think patients would say, I feel safe. It's really fun. They've got some great games and I get a prize at the end and they didn't hurt me. And a parent would say they remembered my child's name. They even remembered my name. And everything was organized, everything was clean, and everybody from the intake phone call to the checkout, the fond farewell, was top notch. So all I can do is go tell my friends I'm really impressed with this place. To me, that checks all the office culture boxes.
It's interesting that a number of years ago, I was in a panel discussion, and there was some marketing guru. It was a young man, and he was very hip, very hippily dressed. I mean, very of the right now. And he was a marketing culture identity expert. And I asked him, "What does that mean?" And here's what he said, Bobby. He said, "It's real simple. Your culture are the promises you make."
Mm.
I mean, Firefly has a culture. Every family has a culture. Um, I just mentioned what I consider your personal culture to be, Bobby. About this, what you see is what is happening. So, as far as creating an office culture, I know that you have some things lined up for us.
Yeah. It is, there's all three of those topics, how to retain patients, how to attract new team members, and how to create a positive office culture. All of those will be interwoven throughout the entire presentation. Yeah, I'm excited.
Good. Well, I'm wild with anticipation.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me today. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. I know sometimes some people are working on Fridays, some are off, so we just appreciate that you have carved out your personal time to be with us today. I thought I would go through a little bit of where I came from and what this presentation is based on. A little bit of my background and journey is going to all come into today's talk. These pens represent not only my successes in life, but also my challenges and the pitfalls. I always say without the lows, you can't appreciate the highs. But this represents my background and my professional career. My journey is that I'm from Southern Indiana, and hence you'll hear a couple of y'all sneak out every now and then. But Southern Indiana, where I grew up, is across from Louisville, Kentucky, which is divided by the Ohio River. And we can't forget the brown water that Louisville is known for and that flows readily. The infamous Bourbon Trail, if you've ever been on it, is fantastic. If you haven't, I would encourage you to add that to your list. The love that the groundbreaking bourbon and baby tea CE course was founded in my hometown. I absolutely love that. And the airport code for Louisville happens to be SDF, which is Standiford Field, but you got to love that SDF is such a strong part of in our toolbox. But I did both my undergrad and my dental school studies at the University of Louisville. I share this part of my journey with you because it can help explain a little more of why I tick the way I tick, and who I have become because of my experiences. That ultimately has led me to be with you. Being here today with you is one of the products of, I feel, the beginnings of this college cheerleading career. To say that my undergrad years were some of the most memorable of my young adult life would be an understatement. I think it was my first exposure to traveling the world with our football team and our basketball teams. And unbeknownst to me, really, these early years were laying the foundation of being on a team, and understanding team dynamics, leading a team, being comfortable in front of large crowds. I mean, 60,000 fans. That gets you humbled real fast, and comfortable speaking in front of a large group. And ultimately, we represented the university as ambassadors of the university. So with all that being said, one of the defining moments, pinnacle moments for me was being on the National Collegiate College Cheerleading Championship team my third year of college. So that's something that is near and dear to my heart, and I'm proud of that. I learned very early on that there are no accidents in life, right? That's one of my life mantras. If you know me, you'll often hear me reference there's no accidents in life. One of my side jobs in college was teaching gymnastics to young kids. I had no idea that that was one of my students that was the daughter of the admissions director to the University of Louisville School of Dentistry. So Katie and I I grew up with her in her first few years as a gymnast. And I had no idea that the day I would walk in for my dental school interview, I would come face to face with her mom. I was like, Ann? She's like, Bobby? So we had no idea that that was a common path. But again, it does support the mantra of there really are no accidents in life if you look back and think everything happens for a reason or is connected in some way. We may not be aware of it at the time, but I promise you, if you look back, there's usually a common thread that you can string between experiences. This was one of my first life lessons that I was consciously aware of that I can track back. So no accidents in life. I was grateful to be accepted to the University of North Carolina School of Dentistry for my residency program. There were, I think, 125 applicants my year. 2 people were chosen to be a part of a 3-year program under the direction of Dr. Bill Van, amazing mentor. It was my 3rd year of residency when I decided that I was going to go save the world one kid at a time and open my own office. Now, when I opened in 98, I was one of 8. I was the number 8 pediatric dentist in Wake County. To put things in perspective, we now have 57 plus pediatric dentists in Wake County. So it has grown tremendously. Everybody has heard how nice the triangle is. And so now I feel like we're oversaturated. But my first year was solo practice. My first 10 years was solo practice, had 5 chairs, 3,000 square feet. I will tell you that I failed forward in my learning experiences. I'm going to say that again. I failed forward in my learning experiences. I had no idea what I was doing. Nobody taught us how to be good business owners, how to run a practice, how to build a practice. So we kind of learned along the way. But I did have a passion and I did have a desire to help others, and I had grit. Now, if you look at this floor plan of my first office, 3,000 square feet, you'll notice there's only one quiet room. That's a big error. If we're running behind an op, I can't bring the next patient back to get them started. Yeah, you won't find an office manager's office on here because I didn't realize that needed to be a separate office. So I moved my office manager into my office, and we were roommates for the last 8 years of this office. The team break room, did we think we only had 3 team members for our whole practice career? There's only 3 seats in the break room there. And 1 bathroom for the team and for the patients. So we would always play who blew it up. So you got to see there's some areas on here that we just didn't know to design better. So we learn as we go. And again, I call that failing forward. Year 10, we built and moved into what I would consider our Taj Mahal office. And I brought on my rockstar partner, Julie, in 2008. And the last 18 years, we have navigated the waters of staying fee for service in an insurance ocean. So we are only one of 4 offices in Wake County that are still fee for service. I included a couple pictures on here of that office. And I feel like we nailed this one from a design and efficiency standpoint. We certainly learned from our first office what worked well, and we duplicated that, and what didn't work, and we corrected that. But we had plenty of room in this office, 6,500 square feet, 10 chairs. This played very well during COVID. So we were able to still run 5 columns because we could separate 3 different pods when you checked in the reception room being 6 to 8 feet away from each other. We had 2 pre-op sedation rooms that the 4th and 5th family could check into. And then when we would bring the patients back, we could see 1 patient on the 4-chair side, 1 patient on the 3-chair side, and we had 3 quiet rooms. So we were able to still run 5 columns appropriately and safely by still following the guidelines. So space came into play here for us in a very good way. Many of you guys that are on this webinar have been to this office. We certainly love having guests come visit us, and we appreciate having our friends come see us. I have learned, and I teach, that you really need to expect 3 bombs to go off in your professional career. And my first one was losing the building partnership and ownership, this building here, I lost because of a crooked non-dental business partner. So at year 10 of my practice career, I had to stroke my savings account to get out of the deal. I started over financially at year 10. I'm not ashamed of that. It still hurts. I still get choked up talking about it because it hurts. Somebody took my hard-earned money that didn't deserve it. But I survived through this. And the learning lesson was, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. And so I proudly share this story with my consulting clients, residents, anybody who wants to know, what mistakes did you make? And I won't say that I made a mistake. I just trusted someone else when they were not being forthcoming with everything.
Excuse me, Bobby.
Yeah.
When you look back on this, what could have been well, it was a devastating situation, but knowing you as I do now, quitting was not an option.
Correct.
So when you look back on what you should have seen that you didn't see about this, it was one individual that was the thief, right?
It was.
What
There were
did you
four
see?
dentists and the builder. And so the four dentists obviously were on the same page. The builder was not.
So is there something you could highlight for us that if you could hit the restart button, if this particular scenario happens to somebody who's listening to you, if this particular scenario happens, you better stop right now and evaluate. Could you tag that?
Yeah, I personally feel the more cooks are in the kitchen, the more risk for the soup not tasting good. So we had always heard just shake his hand. He does great in business, and he did. But then the '08 bubble popped, and he started playing the shell game with our money. And when our taxes didn't get paid that year, we're like, why didn't our taxes get paid? Oh, it was an oversight. Sorry about that. He was truly playing the shell game. And I hold the financial institution, I feel like they had a hand in this too, because they just continued to shell out money to give this person to continue to build all these buildings. So there was some financial liability in there as well. But at the end of the day, we're the ones that got burned for doing nothing wrong. We paid our rent, we paid our bills, and I ended up losing my savings account. So I would say let people in the mix, the better.
Yeah, I know something devastating recently happened to, I mean, multiple millions of dollars. And the mistake was that this friend of mine was acting in good faith and trusted this business person to the point where the business person could sign and get money without anybody else. That is, I asked him about this recently, not thinking about your situation, but he said that was the axe on the neck mistake, that I should have never allowed him to sign things over himself. Is that something that occurs to you in this situation? It could save somebody who's listening?
I mean, sure. I mean, I think the more people that you can have looking over your shoulder that has been in the game for a long period of time, I think the better. After this all fell out, I had several banker friends come to me and said, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. And I'm like, why would you not have told me that? Like,
Really?
If you had the eyes of a financial expert and you said that this was really risky, why wouldn't you have come and shared that? Well, we didn't want to rain on your parade. I'm like, well, I would much rather have an umbrella over my head and deal with the rain than have to go through this. But Gerry, I will say, I needed to go through this, right? It can't always be no drama. You have to be able to fall off the bike and get scuffed up and get back on it to have the confidence to ride down the hill. So I do feel like this happened for a reason. No accidents in life again, for me to truly become a better consultant and a better friend to my colleagues and my clients, so that we can talk about how to avoid pitfalls like this.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as we fail forward and we grow through the pain, I feel like that's where the evolution, happens. So here's the phoenix from the ashes. This is our current office, and we just moved in 3 months ago. So if you are tracking the numbers here, you'll see we went from 10 chairs to 8, and from 6,500 to 4,500 square feet. I will tell you that we are more efficient in this smaller footprint, and the team likes not having as many footsteps to walk. So we really didn't lose any vital areas. We decreased our overhead and increased our revenue. So it's kind of a win-win situation. We kept our jungle theme and we elevated it and made it more contemporary. We also own our space now, so there's no chance of a lease not being renewed. Now, that was the other risk in the other office. When we lost ownership of the building, we became renters in a very expensive penthouse. That was supposed to be my retirement plan, and now it's a very expensive rent payment every month. So the idea that they could not renew our lease, they may not renew our lease. If Duke was in our building, and if they said, hey, we want the whole building or the whole floor, they would be like, we're not renewing your lease, Elliott, and you're out. So you just can't up and move, as we all know, a pediatric office, in several months. This was 3 years in the making. That's what's in front of you right now. So I'm incredibly proud of what Julie and I did and put together here. And this will obviously be my last hurrah, going on almost 3 decades of patient care. But this is something that I'm extremely excited about to end my career on whenever that happens, and to be in a brand new space where you're not always having to worry what's going to break next or what's not going to work. I'll share a couple pictures with you. We had a lot of fun designing this space and the building out of this space, but I can tell you it is not for me to do number 4. 3 is my limit and I'm done. So, but I did learn a lot along the way, and it certainly helps me as a consultant to share my experiences through office design, and just continues to refine my recommendations.
Now, you've mentioned being a consultant. If people listening, if they're not aware, you do private pediatric dental consulting by appointment and arrangement. Isn't that right?
That's right. Yes, there's 2 consulting businesses. One is Pedo Springboard, that is more one-on-one, helping you hold your hand through this. My audiences are usually a resident getting ready to go start their own practice, or a junior doctor wanting to break away from a senior doctor and start their own practice, or office in crisis. If you need me to come in and kind of evaluate what's going on, I'm happy to do that as well. Second consulting business is Pediatric Dental Directions with my great friend and previous student, now colleague, Dr. Phil Slonkowski out of Ohio. And we together have developed Pedo Bootcamp, which is held in Atlanta several times a year. We just started West Coast last year. We're getting ready to secure contracts for 2026 on the West Coast. And that's really been great, where it's more of an intense 2.5 day practice management series. And so that's a small group of 22 or less. And again, it's nice to bring colleagues together in a small group setting or one-on-one setting to help them navigate this thing we call private practice.
So for people interested in more specific details, anybody literally that you talk to about what Bobby just described, it's just nothing short of rave reviews. But you can contact people Bobby has consulted with, people who have enjoyed and benefited incredibly through the boot camp experience, or you can contact Bobby directly about this consulting.
Thanks, Gerry. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Always happy to help. Pay it forward. So speaking of paying it forward, I want to talk a little bit about my own personal tribe and my own crew. These are my ride or dies that I have come across through my professional years. Over the years, I feel like I've surrounded myself with these people, and I have an incredibly deep respect for, again, no accidents in life of how these people have come into my world. These are people who have made me a better person and who have pushed me. Oftentimes, they've been tough with me and have celebrated me and loved me, and also who provide that support unconditionally. There are so many more, but I could only fit 7 pictures on here. So, but I am grateful for each of the people that are on the screen in front of you right now. So let's talk about team members, patients, and parents. In our work life, these are the cast members in our daily movie, right? This is who we interact with each and every work day. If we can remember one thing that as we walk in the door every morning, it's that they all want to be heard. So take a deep breath before you walk in on Monday, clear your head, and remember to be a good listener, and also to have fun. I feel like fun is the we have like an unwritten permission as pediatric dentists to be laid back and silly and to have fun on the regular, right? We get to really wear comfy clothes, tell dad jokes. We just can't take ourselves so seriously or get so caught up in the everyday stresses that happen in practice and forget to have fun. But inevitably, it's not always going to be fun, right? So with our team, we have to lead by example and often be not only mediators, but psychologists. So this is one of my favorite slides that visually explains this. I try to teach our team this concept visually. So take a picture of this slide if you can here. I'll put a little icon up for important slides to take a picture of. It also works with how we navigate our parents, right? Who may have a different opinion than what we as pediatric dentists have all been taught. It doesn't mean they're wrong. And I think they appreciate that we listen to them and respond thoughtfully. So explaining this slide is, the right side light source that's orange shines through the object and creates a square on the wall. But at the same time, the left blue light source shines past the object and creates a circle on the wall. Neither one, the square or circle, are absolutely correct. They're partial views, but reality, it's what's in the middle that is the accurate piece. So they talk about three sides to every story. There's the 1, 2, and the middle is the third side. Disagreement doesn't imply that those who oppose you are wrong. I feel like if we could apply this to our world right now, we would all be living a better life. But at the end of the day, I think if you just take pause when a patient or a parent has a different perspective and respect that it doesn't necessarily have to be your way or the highway. I'm not here to make you believe what I believe, right? I don't ever try to convince somebody. I try to educate them. There's a big difference between convincing and educating. And at the end of the day, if we can find common ground, then that's a win-win situation, right? X-rays, an X-ray of aversive parent doesn't want them every 12 months, but what if we opt to take them every 18 months? If I can give them the option that I'll work with you if you work with me, and as long as there's no progression of any lesions or starting of any lesions, then let's try every 18 months. Just promise me you're going to do your homework. But if we see something start to develop, then let's go back to 12 months or start 12 months. That usually is a great agreement between parents who heard me say, I'm willing to work with you. So in this example, we train with our team members how to be patient and to hear other people's differing opinions. I feel like that pediatric dentistry, our friends kind of think of our jobs as rainbows, unicorns, ice cream, wearing comfy clothes to work every day, big fun vacations, fancy conferences, and exotic locations. But ultimately, right, this is the reality of what being a practice owner and a pediatric dentist is. Take a minute to read those and reflect. Have we checked a lot of those off in our experiences as practice owners or as pediatric dentists? It's not just what's up there on the top being successful. It comes with a lot of hard work and risk and sacrifice below the surface for sure. If you've been to any of my lectures, I always put this in my lectures because it's so vital, so important, and one of my favorites. This is the pictorial version of what failing forward represents. So the rear view mirror is smaller than the windshield for a reason, right? Your past is your past. You can't change it, but you have to keep it moving forward. And you're in control of the direction of your path. A big wide windshield with your future ahead of you, but never forgetting your past. And but it's not where you're going. You're moving forward. Take a picture of this slide too. It's one that I often still refer back to and share with family members, friends, team members. One reason that my windshield is bigger is because of my team and not my staff, right? Staff is an infection. Ann Bynum's quote, I absolutely love that staff is an infection. Team is who we want to work with on a daily basis. So I'm grateful for my team. We want our team to take care of each other, right? But of course, they take care of our patients in such a great way. But as doctors, at the end of the day, I know that I want reassurance that my team would take care of us, would take care of Julie and I, that they would have our backs, right? And they would have the practices backs. Part of building a team is feeling connected. And as you all may remember, one of the Fireside members, a previous speaker a few months ago, and my brother for life, Dr. Reza Ardalan, he spoke to you guys about a defining concept, one that is so important in not only our professional lives, but also our personal lives. What ties us together and bonds us to people often deeply and for life is connection. Connection is key. I wanted to bring his message back into this presentation because of how spot on he was. I cannot underscore enough the quintessential importance of connection. Connection is certainly part of my DNA makeup. I mean, after reading Purpose Driven Life, I quickly identified that one of my personal purposes was to connect people. I'm a connector. I have been described as the straw that stirs the group's drink, and I'm okay with that. I get it. Does it take time and effort to stir that drink? Yes. But what is the return on that investment? It's that return is something that I can't even put a price to. It's the return is the connection and the creating and making of lifelong memories with your people. So let me just share a few quick examples of that. This is my high school crew. This is my high school peeps that we affectionately have coined the term hometown crew. We have a Facebook page. We have our 40th reunion coming up for our high school in 2 years, but we still go on vacation together. Like we do cruises and mountain trips. Each summer for the last 7 years, these guys have jumped in a car and driven from Indiana to North Carolina to come have a pool party weekend. I mean, I feel like some of us even track back to elementary school that we went to school with each other. I mean, how many of us can say that I'm happy to have known you for the last 50 years of my life? So this is an example of personal connection. Then college happened, right? So up in the upper left-hand corner, the guy on the left is my college roommate. He and I still are very close with his family and my family. The other two pictures are my college cheer teammates. We still get together and go to football and basketball games. But again, staying connected as we get older is key. Then there was dental school, right? Our dental school class had 52 people in it. Sadly, 6 of our classmates have passed away. But our class motto was attitude, not aptitude, is what determines altitude. I mean, we still get together on the regular, and we were just a very close class, and we're all very good friends. Residency at the University of North Carolina. This was Halloween when I was shadowing in Dr. Martha Ann Keel's office. Yes, I was dressed up like a box of floss. But as you all know, the incredible Dr. Martha Ann Keel is one of my absolute favorite mentors and friends. I knew from day one when I met her that this was my people. If you've had the privilege of hearing her lecture, you know what a true scholar that she is and a mentor for all of us. She's one of the smartest people that I know. Randomly found each other flying on a plane just a few months ago. Such a great unplanned 2 hours to catch up together. And you got to like the photo bomber behind us, right? Dr. Angie and Dr. Nitsa were my 2 co-residents. This picture was our framed gift to each of our faculty members when we finished our residency at UNC. And we were poor, right? We didn't have any money for gifts, but we could take a picture and go frame it and give it to each of our faculty members. But Dr. Angie and Dr. Nitsa were 2 people that went through the program, and you only your group knows what you go through, right? Nobody else can understand what you go through except for your co-residents. And this is something that we wanted to give to our faculty because it meant so much of what they gave back to us so selflessly. And to this day, we still stay connected. And that was at SSPD, I think 2 years ago. All right, then bourbon and baby teeth. If you're familiar with this amazing CE course that happens in Louisville, I want to thank Evan and Mike for putting together and connecting all of us 8 years ago. They have truly created an incredible CE weekend in September. And if you have not gone, I would encourage you to put that on your bucket list. So that's connection for me personally. I look back and realize how all of those people have played a part in my role in my professional career. So putting this talk together pushed me to identify what are the 3 concepts that apply to our 3 audiences that we have been talking about so far. So our audience groups are our team members, our patients, and our parents. Drawing from almost 3 decades of doing this, the pearls of this presentation, the top concepts that all roads truly do lead back to culture, celebration, and customer service. So that's where we will focus for the next few moments here. Let's start with customer service. I mean, by definition, it's basically just us helping others, right? So I feel like with customer service, it's us wrapping up patient services in a bow of gratitude. Take a picture of this slide. These are the ending wrap-up statements that I share with the wrap-up statements for when I'm finishing up an appointment with the kids. These are several of the statements I keep in my back pocket. A wise friend taught me that one of Maya Angelou's lessons was, she said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So to reframe that, no matter how many degrees or certificates are hanging on your wall, no matter your accomplishments or your successes, when you die, your patients and your team members will remember how you made them feel. So following on how you make them feel, it comes along with 5-star customer service, right? These are the opportunities that show care and compassion in a very big way. We order these flowers ahead of time to give out to one mom or dad. So let's say Valentine's Day is, on Wednesday, we make sure that those flowers are delivered on Tuesday. And we can count on the schedule how many families there are, so we know how many flowers to order. But think about how many single moms or even single dads that you have in your practice. Giving one of these flowers to the patient to go give to their mom, and they're a single mom, she would likely not get anything any other way. That is incredibly powerful and emotional. You may have just created a core memory for this person. Still trying to decide if we should do cigars on the day before Father's Day weekend for the dads. I'm still mulling that one around there. But again,
Cigars?
a simple way. What was that?
Cigars? Okay.
I mean, for dads, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of rural areas where I am. You might give them a box of snuff.
But remember, the kid has to give it to the dad, though. They can't.
Yeah, it may not make it that far. Anyway, rave on.
Again,
Yeah.
so these are just some ideas that we have come up with and that we implement on a daily or every year. So we often don't realize the power of positivity and paying it forward, right? I'm here to remind you of your sphere of influence. You never know how your idea or suggestion or your gratitude will translate for someone else. So the ripple effect is huge, and it is absolutely a thing. These are some more posts and examples of friends of mine who shot me a message or who said, we took your idea and it was a huge hit. So I love the idea of knowledge sharing, of how we can share with each other the things that work best for us so that we can create, a series of best practice ideals for each of our practices. Following up more on customer service, you can order this dental beanbag chair that we have from Specialized Care Company. I absolutely love it. It's the most comfortable seat in the house. But kids don't always fit the chair, right? So they could, if you have this, they can lay on that and it kind of conforms around them. The top is notched out for their head. But it is another great way for a parent to see, wow, they really, kind of went the extra mile to make my child feel comfortable. The most well-oiled offices will always still have misstep moments. And the magic is in how you manage the error or mistake. They're going to happen. We can't prevent them from happening all the time, but we can minimize those. But when it does happen, it's how you respond. I feel like parents understand we all have our moments or days when the wheels come off, right? But the magic is in the customer service and the ownership. Damage control can be turned into a very powerful marketing moment if you play your cards right. So when the wheels have come off and maybe we are running behind, or we took the wrong side x-ray, whatever we need to own, not try to shove it under the carpet and act like it didn't happen, but own it, apologize for it, and then give them something to say, I really want you to know we care about you and I'm sorry that this happened. We give our team free reign to give these out readily. They don't have to come ask for permission. They know where they are stored. They're already prepackaged. This happens to be some microwave popcorn and a free ticket to the movies that you can stream at home. It's just a way of saying we appreciate you and we're sorry that happened. Ken Blanchard and Sheldon Bowles wrote a great customer service book called Raving Fans. That is a great read for you practice owners.
Now, this, by the way, I know from hearing this directly from you, Bobby, about this. I think you call it an oops gift.
Oops gift, yeah.
Yeah. This is spectacular.
Okay.
Absolutely spectacular. And as you said, you can turn a fumble into a recovery real quick.
Absolutely.
And when you said running late, is there, what would be the cutoff where you thought, all right, 5 minutes, come on, 10 minutes, well, but when you say cutoff for running late, what would that be?
Well, every appointment length is maybe different, so you can't generalize it. Operative may be different than a recall without x-rays. But at the end of the day, we trained our team when a parent calls and they say, I'm 10 minutes away, double it, right? That means they're 20 and always. And I feel like they also think that because they call that it gives them permission to be late. Like we don't automatically just move the schedule down because you're going to be late. Like your appointment slot is your appointment slot. So we often will just say, we will see what we can get done when you get here. And so that doesn't lock us into anything. We check with the clinical team. Can we just get an exam done? Maybe we just get an exam and x-rays and come back for the cleaning, which doesn't require any doctor time. But I would say that if you're more than halfway into your appointment, then we would have to evaluate to see what can we do. But we never say you have to reschedule. We would give them options like, would you like to wait and see if the next patient shows? And if they don't, then maybe we can go ahead and just move you into that slot. Or if you'd like to reschedule, you can. But we let them make the decision, because then they don't come back at us and say, well, I've had to wait here 30 minutes before. They want to throw that whole game. And that's a whole nother topic on how you would manage, that response there. But you have to respect the schedule. And at the end of the day, they know they were late. And as long as you treat them with respect, we're glad that you're safe when they walk in the door, rather than, we're going to have to reschedule you. We were worried about you. We're glad that you're okay. Those are ways to diffuse and disarm the parent who already knows that they're in the wrong.
Yeah, I think that's quite critical, because these days in our United States of America culture, it is never the person's fault. It is always somebody else's fault.
Right.
It was the traffic. It was it's always somebody else's fault. Well, they're going to blame you. Even though they know they're late, or should, they're going to blame you. So I think people listening, there is a spectacular here's what to do option. Just make it fit your own culture. But when these things happen to me in private practice, although we never discussed this, my front desk knew to do the same thing, which is, don't ever tell them, well, we're just going to reschedule you. That's just horrible customer service, and it shows you don't care.
That's right. That's just throwing fuel on the fire. Kill them with kindness, but have a policy that's wrapped up in customer service. All right. Another topic that people ask me is, how do you graduate your patients? In our office, we graduate at around 18, unless they have extenuating special needs circumstances. We may keep those longer. Or if they have a ton of incipient decay at 15 from chugging the soda, then they may get shipped out to the general dentist early. My favorite statement in that situation is adult teeth equals adult dental problems, which equals an adult dentist. We want them to follow any of their restorative work that they may do, they follow themselves. Most parents can't argue that. Like, we're trying to help you, but at the end of the day, it's your kid who's got all these incipient areas. We need an adult dentist to follow the adult teeth there. But closing the circle is important, right? I mean, some patients have been with us for 17 plus years. We've grown up with them. I often refer to them as my 6,000 nieces and nephews that we grow up together. So how do you say goodbye and leave on a positive, lasting impression note there? Things that I like to say to the patients and even the parents is, you're always a part of our family. Even though we may not be the ones cleaning your teeth, you're always part of our family. I'm
Nice.
always in your back pocket. If you ever need me to look at an x-ray or place second opinion or to interpret a treatment recommendation, we're here for you. And stop by and just let us know sometime in the years in the future all the great things that are going on with you. Like last week, I had a 25-year-old stop by. He's like, I just want you to know I finished school, I've got a great job, and I'm engaged. And we couldn't all be more happy for him. But it was great that he took the time to stop by and let us know all the good things. That to me says that we had a great relationship because he cared enough to want to come back and let us know. And second generation patients, right? Many of you are going through what I'm going through right now. Is this parent used to be my patient and they're bringing their children to you. That's the biggest compliment we can receive, is that they are bringing their children to us and they used to be our patients. The trust message that sends to us is enormous. So we're grateful for those situations. We always take a picture. We pull the picture up of when they first came to see us, and we have them sit next to it, and I get in one picture, and then I'll get out and let the parent take one of just them with their first picture. And we have a graduation certificate and a bag of good stuff. But at the very last thing I always say to them is, thank you for letting me be your dentist over the years. And I think it's just a great way to close the 17-year circle of being together for that long period of time. And then for the little kids who want to show their tail, we have this is the best $13 I've ever spent, by the way. These are in our treatment rooms. It's a fake camera for behavior. I mean, I've got the little 8-year-old mouthy, boy who's, showing his attitude. And I'm like, listen, dude, if you don't pull it together, I'm going to turn that thing on and I'm going to put it on TikTok. And they're like, woo. So that is a great behavior management technique. And I'm usually winking at the parents, when I'm saying this, but it does send the message that they are going to get videoed and showing their ass. All right. And then,
That one's new. That one's new to me. I didn't know about that one.
yeah. Well, that's because you thought they were real, probably. Norris Hall is a wonderful artist who did a lot of the signs in our office. These 3 signs have a vertical handle in the back of them, and it's so that kids can hold them and the parents can take their picture, or they can take it on their own camera, which means we don't have to have a release because they took it on their camera, and we just ask them to post it up to our Facebook page or our website. But they love to send this to their family members, right? On the kid's first visit, or if they've been working really hard to finally get their sealants and they did it, they get that top sign, I did great at the dentist today. But you'll notice our website's on there. So every picture is a marketing opportunity. But if the parents take the picture, you don't have to have the release for that. And how about this sign that's on the back of all the doors of our treatment rooms? Parents, do not use the words hurt, pain, shot, needle, stick, blood, or any other negative words, or I'm going to go nutso. That is an easy way to keep the parent acting right in the operatory. I appreciate they're helping to hold their hands right as I'm getting ready to give them an injection. But if they're like, hold still, he's getting ready, I'll stop them and say, can you read the back of the door real fast for me, please? And it's a win-win situation, whereas before it just went south. And the kids,
you mean they should read it to themselves.
Yeah,
I can
don't read it out loud.
saying, okay, I'm not supposed to say hurt, pain, shot, needle, stick, or blood. Okay.
But remember, the kid's laying flat, so they can't see this. But I'll just look at them and point and smile and laugh, and so it usually makes an uncomfortable situation more of a comfortable one.
So you don't necessarily, especially on the new patient, you don't necessarily have a team member explain to the parent maybe on the QT or in a very low voice. These are
Sometimes we
bad
don't know
buzzwords.
if we're going to have to numb. Like I can still do some restorative without having to numb, but there's almost always going to be a conversation. Now, remember, dad was there for the new patient appointment and they come back to the filling appointment with mom. There's been no conversation. So there is some areas where you have to just remind them, but those are the hallway conversations that I can have with those family members. It still doesn't mean they are going to remember it and they don't still put their foot in their mouth. So this is something else that is easy. Dollar store foam kneeling boards, garden kneeling boards. This is great for, when parents are helping me hold their kids' hands and I've invited them to come next to the chair. For me, I feel like that it makes it comfortable for them. And they always say, you all have thought of everything. So it's an easy way to just say, I was trying to make it comfortable for you too as a mom.
Yeah, I like that one.
This is something new. We just got this last week. We had an occupational therapist come speak at our Pediatric Dental Study Club, and she recommended getting these. They're on Amazon, 5 pounds. It's a smaller version of a weighted blanket, but it provides like a calming effect and can also be a great sensory distractor. There's glitter and these little stars that are inside this gel pack. It's room temperature, but they lay it across their abdomen or across their lap, and it just gives them a sense of being still. So this has been a new addition to our group. More customer service, new patient office tour. How many of y'all been to a high-end retail store, and when they hand you the bag of your purchases, they walk around the counter and hand it to you? They just don't give it to you across the counter. This is the same idea of when someone comes into our office for the first time, the front desk stands up and says, hey, it's so nice to meet you. We're happy that you're here today. So these are small little customer service points that drive the message home. We're glad you're here. A new office tour lets them see other patients and parents. It's a time, like Gerry, you just said, it's a time to provide guidelines. Often it's about appointment policies and financial policies, and I can't encourage you enough to get signatures electronically or on paper of what your appointment policy is and your financial policy, because when they violate those, you have to show them that they signed off, that they understood that. If you don't have a way to hold their feet to the fire, they're going to say, no one ever told me that. And so you've got to have signatures on the important policies. Make sure you show off your immaculate sterilization area. Now, let me ask you this. What's the number one determining factor that parents use to judge how clean your office is? What would you think, Gerry?
Oh, I think it's probably the WC, the bathroom, the restroom.
That's exactly right.
Oh,
boom, $200, Dan. It's important to make sure that you assign a team member to check your bathrooms twice in the morning and twice in the afternoon. This can be a rotation basis, but if you just generally say, can you guys check the bathrooms, and no one's accountable for that, then it's not going to happen. So make sure that you assign somebody specifically for that task.
And I might jump in and add, that is critical. It is really critical, and I'm aware of a very large survey done of pediatric dental offices asking parents what they expect, and that was way up on the list. Now, as a reinforcement, whoever, it could be an office manager, I would say it probably should be one of the docs, to mention to the team members with some infrequency, but at least regularly, they're doing a great job. Nobody likes straightening out a bathroom, but this is critical. Thanks for doing it, and acknowledging that they're taking on that responsibility.
That's right. That's right. The last thing we talked about, kind of closing the loop to an appointment. If you're sitting down on your operator's chair after you've checked the kids for recall, it's important to stand up. Stand up signifies that the appointment is coming to an end. And then I always ask, do you guys have any questions for me today? Did you get all your questions answered? And that is a great way to be able to wrap the appointment and say, thanks for coming in. Thanks for sharing them with us today. I look forward to seeing you in 6 months, unless you need me before then. Some more touch points. Make sure you call patients by the correct name. If they have a nickname, make sure that you are calling them by that. Same way with parents. If you're going to call them by name, make sure you match the correct parent to the correct child. We'll talk about that strategy here in a minute. Make sure, and pronouns are important too. In this day and age, we have a lot of patients who are using different pronouns. So in our morning huddle, we make sure that everybody knows what that child's preferred pronouns are so that we make them feel welcomed and seen and heard. Sometimes there's an idea of sending new patient cards from the doctor. If you have 3 new patients that day, it doesn't take long to just quickly scribe out 3 thank you cards and give it to your admin team and let them mail them off and address the card. We will ask our assistants to pick 1 patient in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. If you feel like you had a connection or something very big, you push them to get their x-ray finally and they finally did it. That's a big deal. Those can be very powerful customer service touch points that you got a handwritten note from your assistant that day. And then if there's any special events, right now we currently have a couple moms who are going through cancer. And so we have a reminder every couple months to send her a card to let her know that she's on our prayer list, that we're thinking about her. Again, doesn't take a lot of effort, certainly no money, but it does send a very powerful message that, hey, I just want you to know that we're thinking about you. You heard me reference saying people's names. Everybody likes to hear their name said, right? It reinforces a positive experience. So it's somewhere from check-in to check-out. The parents are going to hear their name said twice, and the patients are going to hear their name said 3 times by whoever, a mix of admin, clinical, doctor, whatever. But people are going to hear their name said, and again, that reinforces positive experiences. More touch points here. Run on time. If you aren't running on time, you need to figure out why. That is something that is absolutely in your control on the regular. We're going to have times the wheels come off or that we need to apologize that an emergency was being seen. But for the standard run-of-the-mill schedule, you should run on time or within 5 minutes. And if you're not, you need to analyze your schedule and figure out why. It's important to make payments easy for parents to make, and make sure that you obviously have a clean office. The dirty tray table example from the airlines, there's been research done on this. People judge the cleanliness of an airline based on the tray table. So if they aren't cleaning their tray tables, if you see food or something that's dried on that, it's likely you're not going to choose them again in the future. So this kind of goes the same with, are there things in your office that you may not be aware of? I mean, what do people think when they drive up to your office? If it looks like this, they probably aren't going to have a good first impression. What do they think what do you think when you drive up to your office, and have you done the same pathway that a parent would take? Your pathway to park where you park every day may be different than the pathway that your patients are taking. This is the front of our new building, and this was one of the kind of outside the box marketing suggestions that my office manager came up with. I want to give her credit. For $325, we were able to rent this. This is like a birthday sign where you can create different messages, whether it's retirement or birthday or happy anniversary. We just said, can you visit us at our website, and with some dental pictures. And that was the cheapest week's worth of advertising on a very busy, high traffic street. And we've already gotten several patients that have called and said, I saw your sign, I want to bring my kid to you. So that worked. We'll probably do that annually. When was the last time you walked outside your building or in the parking lot, or even the inside of your building, not just your office where you go down the back stairs? Take the elevator down that the patients and parents take and look and see, do you see cobwebs? Do you have bugs, dead bugs in the lights? Worst, do you have pee on the bathroom walls? So make sure that these are the areas that you're checking. Lay where patients lay, sit where parents sit, and make sure you evaluate what they're seeing. This is another great gift that we give when we identify parents who are kindergarten teachers or first grade teachers. We love to give them these prepackaged bags of tooth treasure chests and our business cards. They usually are putting their students' kids' teeth that they pull in Ziploc bags. So they think you hung the moon and you're giving them something really cool to put their tooth in to give to their students.
Ooh, I like that one. That last pee on the walls.
I mean,
I
boys,
guess
little boys aren't good shots. Let me tell you.
that's just what I was thinking. Well, you probably wouldn't blame a girl for, anyway, go ahead.
Just make sure your bathroom walls are clean, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, your patients and your parents are your best marketing ambassadors. Make it easy for them to go out and brag on you. And if they are on their phone, which inevitably the parents are in, when I'm doing a filling on their kid or restorative work, they're going to be, doom scrolling on their phone. I always will just say, hey, if you're going to be on your phone, do you mind liking our Facebook page, please? So it's an easy way to continue to just gain followers and likes while the parent, and they're out of my way. They're not paying attention to what I'm doing. And that means less conversation I have to have with them and more with the patient.
There's another one, Bobby, right there. There's another Bobby Pearl. Look, we all have these problems of you're trying to explain something to a parent or the assistant or the friend. They're trying to explain something, but they're on the phone multitasking. That's perfect. Just say, listen, since you're on the phone, would you? I love that one, Bobby.
Can you like us, please? Right?
Yeah, yeah. Would you mind?
This is going to negative press is going to happen, and this isn't a bomb. This isn't one of your 3 bombs. This is just the course of doing business and not being able to please everybody. So being prepared is key. So what we came up with was creating this positivity warrior group. This is our action plan. If I asked you to name 10 of your patients who have your back, that's probably going to be difficult unless they're personal friends of yours. You've got them because they come in and they tell you how much they love you, but do you have it written down as a reference place to go look? Because if we get a bad review, I will immediately send an email to my first 10 names on this group to the parents. And the moms are so appreciative that you asked them to go out and counter the review with a positive review. They're willing to go to bat for you, I promise you, because they care so much about you. This is part of that relationship-based practice. The key here is to make sure you make note of the people that you've sent an email to, because the next time you've got to send one, choose the next 10. Don't keep repeating the same people. So I think our spreadsheet list is in the 300s, so we have a deep enough well to go dip from when we need to ask people to go help us, but they truly do appreciate that you ask them. Inevitably, on the spot, you're going to be put between a rock and a hard place with parents. And I would say, take a picture of this slide too. These are flat, neutral statements that I keep in my back pocket when I need to diffuse somebody or when somebody's coming at me in a very powerful, assertive way. This typically doesn't give them any energy or add any fuel to the fire. I just would encourage you to have a series of statements memorized in your back pocket that can be applicable to any of the situations that you may get put in. When I say any, this is almost 3 decades of experience talking, but I know that a parent can come at me in any way and I've got an answer for them now, but that's experience. So if you're a new practitioner, start writing things down that you can use as neutral statements or as easy rebuttals to parents. Take a picture of this slide too. This is a very important one. Just summarizing this, when a parent and I know aren't going to get along and I need to kick them out, I'll just say, I need to trust you and you deserve to trust me, but this just isn't working. I want to help you find someone that can understand your requests better than I can. And then you find them somebody that you feel like may be a better match. So, i.e., send them to the one provider in town who marches to the beat of their own drum and crazy finds crazy, right? But the idea is that you don't just say, I don't care about you. I know I'm not going to meet her expectations because she's giving me absolutes that I can't reach, like usually in the holistic world. So I'm not going to give them marginal work because it's going to be marginal results. So I just end the relationship immediately in a very customer service positive way by saying, I'm going to help you find somebody that can meet your needs.
Yeah, having a different personality, I'd probably take that a little differently. I'd be thinking, I'd like to help you out the door into your car.
Yeah, basically.
And please don't come back. But when this has happened to me, and as well as I do, these are rare occurrences. This doesn't happen that often because we're pediatric dentists. It's the game. But what I've done, Bobby, is when I say I will not be able to meet your needs, you really need to find someone else. Ask your friends who they're going to. Now, the only time I got stumbled on was when the person said, "Well, all my friends are coming to you." Yeah, well,
Oops.
yeah, here's your oops gift, which is
Sure.
these are ankle weights, and I hope you can't swim. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, let's move on to culture here. Here's the definition of culture. Colleagues will describe culture in many different ways. Gerry asked me at the top of this, how do you describe office culture? And, I feel like fun has to be in there somewhere. You need to have fun to have a positive office culture. Uh, at the end of the day, culture should be positive, supportive. It's what causes team members to want to come to work on the daily and continue to come back and contribute. And let me ask you, is there anything unique about your practice that you and your team are known for? Like, how do you create a buzz in the community that people know who your practice is? And in ours, it's our annual Christmas and holiday cards. So let me tell you, it's harder and harder every year after 28 years to keep coming up with creative ways to find something fresh and new. But we seem to come up with something each year because of the team, kind of going through and having their input. This was one of the team's favorite ones, and I'm sure it's because of this. They got to tape our mouths shut. Silent night, right? But we do have a lot of fun putting these together. This is when drones hit early on. The drones hit the scene. We just make sure all of our patients and our parents know that we love to celebrate with them, but we also celebrate our team members. So they know when it's Dental Assistance Week or when it's Admin Appreciation Week. Can you tell what year this picture was taken? Glad we're past that. In our office, we made the decision that if dental assistants have a dental assistance week, that we were going to honor our admin team for a week as well and not just have admin professionals day. So the old school term was secretary's day, but they translated that now. Our team celebrates bosses week. Even though bosses day is one day, they said, well, we're going to celebrate you guys. That made us feel really good. And again, more signs that they had our back and the practices back as well. This is Cameron Jackson. This is one of my previous patients. His nickname was Action Jackson. He loved fast red cars, but he developed a lethal brain tumor. I knew I had a fast red car, and I knew there was only one thing for me to do, and that was to go to his house and ask his family if we could all go get ice cream together. The family followed us behind the car 2 miles down the road for us to go get ice cream together. I can't control his cancer, but I could control having a memory and a moment with Cameron. I could get him in a fast red car to put a smile on his face. Sadly, Cameron passed about a month after we got ice cream together. But to this day, I'm still in touch with his mom, and we text on his birthday and on his eternal birthday every year. Back to connection, right? This is the connection that binds us together. This was an easy thing for me to do. There was no hesitation in what I needed to do, but it was a moment that's a core memory for me in my practice career. All right. Why do patients leave? Sadly, I didn't mean to dovetail into this, but some die. There's some that will move away. There are some that don't like the product that you're selling. They will leave you for $10 to save $10 down the road, go to a competitor. But 80% of them will leave because of the attitude of someone in your office. So people always ask, how do you choose your team members? There's lots of different ways, but Indeed has been very helpful. We also have a 15-minute Zoom call or FaceTime call with a team lead or office manager. I love what Ann Bynum does. When she has them come in for an in-person group interview and do a skills assessment, then they will send them to lunch with just the team and let the team and the applicant talk together, no doctor. And then if everybody's in agreement, then they offer the position. Now, I let my team pick the next hire because if they don't work out, I'll look at them and be like, well, y'all chose them. I don't go against the grain of my team and choose somebody, and if they say, because they're saying no and I say yes, that's not going to work. So listen to your team and pick those people, because you have 90 days to see if it works out, right? You don't have to learn everything about somebody in a one-day skills assessment. That's what the 90-day probationary period is for. These are some of the questions that I asked Anne to share with me what they talk about on their group interview. So, take a picture of this one too. It's a good one. I love that the team can really figure out a lot about somebody through these exercises. And the other thing, when they say, how do you find great team members? I say, you don't, you create them. You create these team members. And what else do? You infect them with passion. That is vital, to have them understand what your philosophy is, what your personality is, and how that translates to how you provide care. And at the end, you empower them. Trust is such an important thing, but I let them know, I trust what you're doing. I trust how you do it, because we trained you. And there are times when I have to check in on how things are being done, but it's not because I don't trust them. I'm verifying. So the statement, trust but verify, it doesn't mean that I don't trust you. I'm making sure that everything is staying consistent. Trust and verify. Core values. If you don't have them in your office, I encourage you. It was funny that Anne and I had very, very similar, almost by word, what our core values were in our practices. Almost always when team members fall short or there are issues, it can be tracked back to one of these core values. The question is, can you retrain the team member and keep them, or do they not have the capacity to embrace them? So if not, I say fire quickly, but hire slowly. Scripting is super important, making sure that we're all saying the same things. This is a Ted Kroll's book, because we use it on the daily. It's at every chair in our office, every dental chair. This is something that we developed, and we show the parents. We ask parents to take a picture of this. Sugar does not cause the cavity directly. We teach them that sugar comes into the mouth. The bacteria in the mouth make acid. Acid on a healthy tooth is what causes the cavity. So education is key. We don't try to convince them, we educate them. But this is the answer to why we need to do extra fluoride treatments, change the diet, come in every 3 months. We all say the same thing, and we all talk about, how gummy vitamins cause problems in our area. Scripting and consistent messaging is key amongst the dental team. I often present this segment because of how incredibly important it is, and there's an easy solution. How many times have you incorrectly matched the parent with the wrong child? Or how many times have you missed looking at x-rays that were taken that day and you told the parent there were no x-rays? How many times have you missed that the 7-year-old kid is going to be okay for sealants, but you don't know that they, fell out and had a meltdown during their cleaning? So this is a great, easy solution we've come up with on how to fix that. And I'll go through this with you. This is the tray cover shorthand that they used to write on the tray covers. H stood for hygiene, behavior. What was the Frankel score? Where's the parent located in the office, and what x-rays were taken? The idea, wherever the parents were sitting, they were assigned a number. So P2 meant that they were in that middle chair in our bay. Putting this all together, I sit down and if this is an 8-year-old who got a 3- for their cleaning, I'm not going to start talking about sealants. As many of you know, young kids can have plaque, but their gums are pink, right? So when I sit down and I see pink gums, I'm like, you're doing a great job. And the assistant or hygienist just spent 20 minutes talking about how they weren't because their hygiene was fair. That's not consistent messaging. So this is a good way to develop very quick storylines to come across saying the same thing as what the parents just heard. This is the new way that we're doing it now. This is kind of a little bit more detailed, but it's now printed on the printer. So they don't have to handwrite everything as much. And here's what our shorthand stands for. The hygiene, behavior, x-rays, and parent position is the same, but what's mom's name? What's dad's name? Is it a 2-dad family or a 2-mom family? Is this long-haired blonde boy in my chair looking like a girl and I'm using female pronouns and I didn't realize it was a little boy? So they circle male or female. Is it a twin or a triplet? Are there siblings here next to them? What's their age, which helps me orthodontically to start looking. Do I need to be palpating for 3s? Am I looking for something at their age? Are they hitting their milestones? Are they delayed? Are they advanced? Who's the orthodontist? Does this child have autism, Down syndrome, sensory issues, cerebral palsy? Anything you want me to check? So this is an example. This is currently what we're using, and this just got refined 2 weeks ago. The letters at the top are all the different colors of our chairs. So you circle what siblings are with that child. So what this picture is showing me is that there's a set of twins in the purple and yellow chair. I'm at the purple chair. I know that their twin is right next to them, but this twin has autism. So I'm going to approach them in a different way. Their other sibling is in the sedation room getting sealants done. So I'm not going to say, after I check the purple and yellow chair, hey, mom, have a good summer. It was nice seeing you. When she's going to say, well, I've got one more that's in the back. That doesn't look like we know who's in the office. So you can see how this is a very quick and easy way of creating your script so that you come across as saying the same thing. I need some bus up in here. What does bus stand for? I need some backup support. So if somebody, one of my team members writes BF on there, that means I need some bus on fluoride. This is an anti-fluoride mom who needs some education. And I can almost always get a parent to agree with what I would like them to do from at least an x-ray standpoint. So if it's BX, that means I need some bus on x-rays. And that leads me down the path of talking about the importance of x-rays. I can't see between their teeth. I don't want to take x-rays only when I see something that's wrong, because then it's too late. When I go into offices in crisis and they tell me, can you help me understand why we don't run on time? And I see this schedule. This is a one doctor schedule, y'all. Who taught you to do this? Like, why in the world would you want your schedule to look like this on the daily? That gives me anxiety just looking at it. So I know of an office who ran a schedule like this and they sedated the wrong child. So that's where mistakes happen, when you don't have control of your schedule and you know that you are going to be running behind. Quickly, we'll talk about patient flow analysis. Look at your schedule, and at the end of the day, decide if it was a green day, a yellow day, or a red day. That way you can go pull all the schedules of the red days to see if there's something in common with those appointments for that day that would be causing you to run behind. You can analyze, most of the time you're doing good, running on schedule. There's a couple days the wheels came off, but we stayed on track. But the days where it just is horrible, pull those schedules and find out what they have in common and see if there's something that you can correct in your schedule. The definition of a boss versus a leader: I feel like a boss pushes their team, whereas a leader is one that pulls their team. Let me go back real fast. This is something in our office now that we have cameras throughout our office, and that's my personal office where I can keep an eye on all of the areas of the office. Ask yourself, what would you think when you saw this picture right here? We had a monsoon last week, and a family of 4 had to cancel because they weren't able to get out of their neighborhood. And this is what I saw on the camera in the bay: no patients and the 3 assistants talking. What would you do? What would you immediately think? That they're being lazy, that they're just sitting around, talking about what they're going to do this weekend? Well, and a good friend of mine says, if there's time to lean, there's time to clean, right? But I have faith in my team, right? They came to me, and I realize it's not always as it seems. They came to me with an awesome marketing idea. They were out there discussing and brainstorming on how to roll this out, and they came to me and shared it with me. So don't always assume that what's happening is something that's bad. For culture, just remember to build to the importance of building a longer table and not a taller fence. Lead by example. That's the doctor right there. We're not too good to not help clean a toilet. That is Anne. This is her leading by example. And then praise in public. The walk away compliment I love is when we're in operative. We just had a difficult appointment. Mom's in there. The kid got through it. And if the assistant is leaving the room, I make sure I say to the parent, I couldn't have done that without Kelly. Kelly is the best at what she does. I know she can hear me even though she's leaving the room, but that's a powerful way to bond with your team and compliment your team to a parent when the team member is walking out of the room. And obviously criticize in private. You never want to do that in front of anybody. Reminder that you've survived 100% of your worst days. Read that again. You have survived 100% of your worst days. You can only pour into the things that you can control and the things that matter. That's where your focus should be. If you're worried about what's out of your control, it's going to steal your time and it's not going to work. Celebrate. The last piece is celebration. Important to celebrate the good things in your life. There's 3 amazing ones there for me, with yours truly, Gerry, who was the officiant at our wedding. Always believe, never give up, right? The idea that life can change in the blink of an eye. None of us are promised tomorrow. These are tokens that you can order from Vaudeville to just randomly give to your team members to say, hey, I see you. I appreciate you. I love these Post-it notes that are very affirming, that I will just go stick on someone's locker or stick it in their purse and they find it on their way home. There are these star cards at checkout that parents can brag on team members, and it's a carbon copy. One of them goes in their personnel file. The other one goes for them to hang on their locker. But this is ways for the parents to brag on team members. We want to never forget to celebrate anniversaries in our office. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be over the top. I know that somebody bought their team member of 30 years a car. Y'all, please don't do that. That makes all of us look bad. But these flowers are much more affordable than a car. But just don't forget to honor your team and not to forget about them. Dental Assistants Week. Around our office, Shark Week seems to be a really big thing. It's a fun midsummer way to celebrate. This year, it got really creative in doing Shark Week. But again, it's just more than just coming to see patients. It's a culture. It's a way to spend time. Every first day back in January, we come back. We always cook breakfast together from 8 to 10. We don't see patients until 10:30. But this is a way to learn what happened over the break, to cook and say we're starting the year off right, and that I care about you. This is that sphere of influence I was telling you about. People have come back and said, thank you for sharing this with me. We've done this and we absolutely love it. Giving back is really sharing it forward, right? If you're feeling down, you're feeling burnt out, I would encourage you to go out and volunteer somewhere. Volunteering is one way to really pour back into your soul buckets. And I will challenge you on this last slide that on Monday to take a deep breath before you walk out the door and ask yourself which superhero that you want to be that day. It's the friendships that we build for life are the ones that allow us to want to be superheroes to one another and to each other. But you have to ask yourself, what superhero are you going to be? I sure thank you guys for letting me come and hang out with y'all today. Thank you for finding your happiness. And I hope that you guys have a happy weekend this year. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful. Always.
I had to surprise you somehow.
Yeah. That picture is hilarious. Any closing remarks, Allison?
None from my end. We just are so appreciative, Dr. Bobby, of your time and your wisdom. I wrote down several notes, even though I don't run a practice. There are so many things that are applicable to so many areas. And I love that you described the straw that stirs the group's drink. I think that's so important. So I'm going to remember, that's my biggest takeaway for today, is try to be the straw that stirs the group's drink.
Yeah.
But no, and we did get a couple of questions, a couple of bravos and thank yous. But I know we're a little bit over time. Do you have a minute to address any questions?
I've got plenty of time. Yep.
Okay,
Yep. I'm
perfect.
happy to stay on. Sure.
So the one that we saw was rationale behind not taking insurance assignment. How did you put this policy in place?
Say that one more time.
What was the rationale behind not taking insurance assignment? How did you put this policy in place?
Yeah, great question. I wish I had the really smart business angle answer to give you, but I don't. When I opened as number 8, the other 7 were also fee for service. So I just followed suit. Now, what I've learned over the years is that was truly a great way to start practice, because if a parent called one office and said, do you file insurance? No, but no other pediatric dentist files, then we were all in the same playing field, right? It wasn't until insurance companies recognized that I believe the fact that the statistic is 85% of surrounding offices will cave within 5 years if they start taking insurance. And so we held fast and said, we will not sell our soul to the devil, that we value our services, we value our education, and it allows us to maintain control of our practice. So it became a smart business decision that I wasn't a part of making in the beginning because of it was business wise. I followed suit. But if you look at what's happening now on iPedo and in a lot of the chat rooms, everybody's trying to figure out how to bounce out of insurance, right? And become a fee for service practice.
Well, in speaking with parents, a line that I used that was exceptionally effective. I suspect this is not original with me, but what I would say is, as you to the parent. Now I'm speaking to the group across the screen as though you're a parent. I'm sure you're very aware that insurance companies have taken more and more of a powerful position in healthcare, and they're doing that with money. Now, I do not want to allow the insurance company to step between you as the parent and your child in what's best. Therefore, I ask that you pay the office directly, and the insurance company pay you back directly. Paul at my front desk will be happy to help you fill out the form, but I do ask that you pay the office directly. And then I do what I just did. I shut up. I don't say a word. I just look at them trying to look like the Mother Teresa or the Dalai Lama, and don't say anything. Don't say if that'll work. Just wait.
So, Gerry, why is that important? Because we talk when we get nervous and we want to fill that empty space. But you are so right. You make your point and then you shut up and just stare at them.
Yeah, stare at them and look friendly, even though maybe you aren't friendly. I mean, Bobby, you are, but I'm not always friendly.
What if they ask a peering question, a probing question that's just not appropriate? Everybody learn the phrase, why do you ask? Put it back on them to take ownership of their nosiness. Why do you ask?
I like that. I like that one. Is that lovely?
All the time. Use it all the time.
I use that with my 5-year-old. Why are you asking that?
Exactly. Make them own it.
Yeah. Well, the most powerful words when I was a child. How old is Margot?
5.
Allison? Yeah. My dad would say, "Oh, it's because I said so. Don't ask again." And that was not a suggestion. That was loaded with potential. Anyway, any other questions, Allison?
That was it from the chat that we got in. But again, just a couple of thank yous and great sessions, and I'll echo that. This was absolutely fantastic. So
I have a question, Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay. My question is, what is going on now? Everybody knows, and I actually mean that literally, fluoride. How are you dealing with the fluoride controversy in your office? I have my own thoughts about it, but I'd like to hear yours, Bobby.
Fluoride is a recommendation, not an absolute like X-rays, right? So X-rays are diagnostic. So I draw a hard line with policy that if you don't let us take X-rays in a certain interval, then I have to dismiss you because you become a liability. Fluoride, however, is a recommendation. So if I have parents who used to be on board that are now asking about it, remember they're asking, I think, because they care. So you can't just start coming at them full guns blazing. I always start every answer to a question with, that's a great question. Like I acknowledge that they cared enough to ask me. And then I ask for permission. Can I tell you what my education taught me? So that's not me talking down to them. That's me getting on the same level with them and saying, I can share with you what I know and how I practice. And it depends on how deep of a dive I feel like these parents want. If this is the analytical, computer type parent who wants the details, that's a different discussion than the mom who just wants me to reassure her that it's safe. I do like the statement. Think about how many of us have been on fluoride our whole lives, right? We're all doing pretty good. Your healthcare providers, your attorneys, your neighbors, your people who teach your children, we were all raised on fluoride and we're doing okay. But if they want to bring up the specifics, like what about that article that says that it causes neurotoxicity, then we can go get into the details of how that one study didn't isolate out for other elements and they only talked about the fluoride level. There's different deep dives that you can get into depending on what the parent asks. But at the end of the day, I always say, I will do what you're comfortable with, but my recommendation is pro fluoride. Because in my mind, I'm thinking if they don't do it and they get all these incipient lesions, we're happy to take your money. Right?
Yeah,
Because
my comment about that, we're in lockstep on that one. It's there, as you said, it's a choice. Now, I would tell everyone that you need to document this very carefully, that they said, absolutely not, I do not want fluoride. Now, I'm not an attorney, I'm not pretending to be one, but they do need to understand, it needs to be documented, that they were told that this does significantly increase the risk of dental disease. We used to call those cavities. That's how Martha Ann Keels
dental
grabbed
disease.
it.
That's right.
Dental disease. She says, call it what it is. It's an infection. Call it what it is. And then you have to decide, the doctor has to decide, are you comfortable keeping these people within your practice?
People
I,
ask me about refusal forms. You were talking about documentation.
yes,
Refusal forms are super important because what Gerry said, legally that covers you, that you've explained the risk benefit options, that you've made the recommendation, the parent is the one who's refused. Now, what I find in practice is when I go into that, that's awkward for providers and team members to be like, can you sign this refusal form for us? Because it sounds like we're holding them, like we're using it as a weapon. We're weaponizing the refusal form. The way around that is to say, we just want to document so we don't ask you at each appointment. We don't want to bug you each time. So if you just can say
nice,
this, that'll
nice,
remand us to not ask you each time. That's
nice.
so much easier and user friendly.
Yeah, see, that's why you're Bobby Elliott.
That just means I'm old.
Well, yeah, I think now from a fireside standpoint, Allison, is this recording? I know that there are recordings that are only available to Fireside members, and you should contact Fireside yourself if you're not sure what membership is all about. But is this recording going to be available across the board to non-members? Is that what you're going to
Yes,
do?
we will send it out in an email to anybody that came to the session or if has registered for the session, and then we'll also post it on our YouTube channel. So it will be available for everybody. But as Bart mentioned, if you're interested in learning about how Fireside could help you scale your practice, help you grow the different services that we offer, we would welcome a conversation. So we would be happy to chat with you and understand more about your practice. And then for the Fireside members who are in the session today, good to see you guys. It's always a pleasure. But yes, it'll be available on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, one other thought, because I'm sure everyone feels the same, that there are these flashbulbs of outstanding information from Bobby that you really should consider having your team watch the YouTube, and perhaps even picking out a section to have a little office huddle and meeting about how you can make that match in a synergistic way with your own practice culture. Bobby, this is just terrific. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys. It's nice to see everybody.
Bravo.
Everyone have a great rest of your day, and we will see you for the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Allison.